Hi, this is Sports Lab 100, and I'm doing this channel because there's nothing stopping me. That's the whole premise. And maybe it's not the sales pitch the algorithm ordered, but it's true. I'm not a born entertainer, and I'm not pretending to be one. But I do care a great deal about sports history, these teams, and these players. That's what this project is: appreciation for the best players, past and present, through one game where they mattered. I'm Kevin, this is Sports Lab 100, and this year we're halfway through the Houston Astros, quarter of the way through the Golden State Warriors, a wee bit into the St. Louis Blues. And when NFL season gets here, I'll be following the Carolina Panthers. And a quick interesting side note here, this series includes a yearly NFL tattoo for the team I'm following, Carolina Panthers. Each series is the 100 most impactful players in franchise history. And I use different metrics for different sports. For the NHL, I use point shares and goalie point shares. Today we're talking about Torey Krug. This is Blue 4, the Torey Krug episode. Krug's a 5'9" left shot defenseman from Livonia, Michigan. He was born April 12, 1991, and played college hockey at Michigan State. He wasn't just another undersized guy who came out of nowhere. When he was at Michigan State, he was a Hobey Baker finalist, CCHA Player of the Year, and a two-time CCHA Best Offensive Defenseman. He was also team captain, so even though undersized was always part of the scouting report, Krug could play. Despite his award pedigree, Krug went undrafted, and eventually he made his way to hockey's top level anyways, with the Boston Bruins in 2012. By 2014, he was on NHL's all-rookie team, and although he never became an all-star in Boston, he did play in 523 games for the Bruins across parts of 9 seasons. He scored 67 times and added 270 assists. In October 2020, St. Louis signed him through free agency. 7 seasons, $45.5 million. And for our purposes, Krug's signature game came on February 11th, 2024, Bell Center in Montreal. The Blues came in at 27, 21, and 2, and the Canadiens were 21, 22, and 8, with 21,105 in the building. And St. Louis didn't ease into the game. 25 seconds in, Alexei Toropchenko scored his 8th goal of the season. He went around Jaden Struble, cut across the crease, and tucked it past Jake Allen. Assists to Oscar Sundqvist and Torey Krug. That's 1. 5 minutes later, Colton Parayko made it 2-0 with his 9th of the year, assisted by Kasperi Kapanen. So if you just see the final score, 7-2, you might think St. Louis never had a problem, but Montreal had a door. Sammy Blais gave them one. Blais played 53 seconds in this game, not 53 minutes, not 5 minutes, 30 seconds, 53 seconds. He got a 5-minute major for boarding Jordan Harris, plus a game misconduct. That was his whole day. Montreal got a 5-minute power play, down 2-0, at home, with the crowd ready to re-enter the game, and they didn't score on it. Nick Suzuki did score right after it expired, cutting the lead to 2-1. Excuse me. But officially, Montreal went empty on the power play major. They got that chance, and they had 5 minutes to close the gap, but they wasted it, and the Blues survived it. The funny thing about it, though, St. Louis didn't have a man in the box. So when the penalty ended, nobody came out, and it remained 5-on-4. Suzuki's goal wasn't counted as a power play, but it kind of was one. A few minutes later, Jaden Struble took a hooking penalty. Then 7 seconds into the power play, Jordan Kyrou scored his 16th goal of the season. Robert Thomas and Torey Krug had the assists. That's 2. That's also the difference between a good power play and a bad one. Montreal got 5 minutes and got nothing official. St. Louis got 7 seconds and scored. If you're the opposing team, Torey Krug's not always the first guy you're trying to shut down. It makes sense. He's not built like a classic NHL defenseman. He's 5'9". From day one, he's had to answer questions about size, reach, and whether he could hold up. But Krug's answer was always the same: move the puck, take the hit, make the play, and do it again. He was never the biggest player on the ice. He just kept becoming one of the most useful. And the second period stayed quiet until late, With just a little more than 2 minutes left, Nathan Walker scored his 4th of the season. Braden Shen and Torey Krug assisted. That's 3. By then, Krug wasn't dominating the game loudly. He was doing something better for a defenseman. He was appearing everywhere the next pass needed to be. The third period opened with Robert Thomas making it 5-1 on the power play. Montreal answered when Yoel Armia deflected home a David Savard shot, cutting it to 5-2. Still not close, but alive enough. Then Mike Matheson took a tripping penalty at 6:43. 31 seconds later, Jake Neighbor scored his 18th of the season. Robert Thomas and Torey Krug assisted. That's 4. 4 assists. It's already a full night for most players. And that's the story. But Krug wasn't done. At 15:33, Jordan Kyrou scored again, his 2nd of the game and 17th of the season. Robert Thomas picked up his 3rd assist of the night, and Torey Krug picked up his 5th. 5 assists, 5 points, no goals. No need. Torey Krug set the franchise record for most points in one game by a defenseman. And that's the reason this game lives here. Not because he blew the doors off, but because he controlled the game from the blue line, quietly, repeatedly, then all at once, historically. The Blues won 7-2. Krug had 5 assists. Thomas had 4 points. Kyrou scored twice. Jordan Binnington made 30 saves. St. Louis had just won 7 of 8. And for one day, in Montreal, they looked like a team getting dangerous at the right time. But it wasn't enough. Neither team made the playoffs. Montreal finished 30, 36, and 16, last in the Atlantic. The Blues finished 43, 33, and 6 with 92 points. And you should get something for 92 points, right? Right? Wrong. St. Louis finished solidly and alone in 9th place, 6 points behind Vegas and 5 points ahead of Minnesota. So they're a pretty good team, right? They weren't good enough, though. And that's the most annoying category in sports. Krug finished that season with 39 points, 77 games, 35 assists, and 4 goals. As the Blue overall, he's at 146 points, 22 goals, 124 assists. But the physical cost is starting to catch up. In July 2024, the Blues announced Krug had pre-arthritic changes in his ankle, his left ankle. It was a cumulative result of a bone fracture from earlier in his career. He tried non-surgical rehab, but it didn't get him back. In September, he had ankle surgery and missed the entire 24-25 season. By May of 25, Blues general manager Doug Armstrong said he wasn't expecting Krug to play in the NHL again. That's a hard ending, or at least a hard almost ending for a player whose whole career is built on proving the obvious doubts wrong. Undrafted, undersized, still here. On February 11th, 2024, in Montreal, he gave St. Louis one signature game, one last one. 5 assists, a franchise record for a Blues defenseman, and the kind of performance that doesn't need a goal to leave a mark. Next time we dip back into the history of the Golden State Warriors, Warrior 29 is Gary Payton 2, son of the glove. Yes, but GP2 has a game all his own. I'm Kevin. This has been Sports Lab 100, Blue 4. Thanks for watching.